All right, so empirical-based practice and special population. So our research to study, it was on gender differences in gambling preferences and problem gambling, a network level analysis. So the Rutledge group, they conducted a study with females and males who spoke French from the ages of 15 to 75, and in order to participate in the study, they had to gamble at least once in the last 12 months. They used people in France from the time period, French-speaking individuals who were in France between December 2013 till May 2014. So basically, what they were looking for is they wanted to expand the knowledge of gambling preferences based off gender. They wanted to have an idea of which gender had more issues with problem gambling, but they also wanted to know what types of gambling each gender participated more in. What they used random numbers that they were able to collect from a pretty big survey that is used in France. So what they did and what they found, they had a bunch of different questions that they asked that were grouped into different categories and rated a certain different way using a problem gambling severity index. What they found was that lottery and scratch-offs had a high correlation for both sexes. When it came to gambling. They also talked about how males participated in more risky gambling activities than female, meaning that they had a larger range of things that they used to gamble that were seen as problematic, such as females, they most commonly use just lottery, scratch off, and gambling machines. Like that was the highest numbers. But for male, they also were participating in a lot of lotteries and scratch offs, but they also were participating in betting and sports betting, which were considered higher risk as well. So females reported lower levels of substance use while gambling, but they also reported poorer baseline mental health than males. Female gamblers also had higher levels of anxiety symptoms, and they reported feeling less relaxed while playing. So it was found that for females, gambling machines was most linked to the problem gambling, and for males, it was things like sports betting, playing poker, casino games, were activities that were more likely to lead to problem gambling for them. So overall, the type of gambling activities that indicated the high risk and problem gambling that affected males more than females, and it was also thought that both sexes participated in risky behavior when it came to lotteries and scratch-offs, because that's where the most significant problems were found. In this study, it's called What's in a Name? Evaluating the Public Stigma of Gambling Disorder. So this study was about the stigma that went around the terms used for gambling disorder, like problem gamblers and gambling disorder. Basically, it was thought that gamblers were not seeking treatment due to fear of stigma, shame, and they instead suffered in secret because they were embarrassed, and they felt like when they went out into the public to get treatment, they weren't being given the same type of treatment that other people with other disorders would. They also felt that the public stigma created a divide between what was perceived like normal and as normal people compared to like them having a disease. So they were also believed that they were seen as being less productive and had a lot more negative attitudes when they were identified as gamblers. So there were two studies that they conducted, and basically They found out that the name of gambling disorder, like the term gambling disorder or problem gambling, did not necessarily matter, but the disorder as a whole had more negative stigma attached to it than other conditions. And how they did that was like they randomly assigned people to do different studies, and they um, basically like had questions with relation to like seven other different disorders, and I asked everybody the same thing about each of those disorders, including gambling, and it was found that like gambling had the highest stigma around it and the negative thoughts. When people were asked about things like, heart disease or diabetes, there wasn't as much negative connotation compared to when they were asked um, about gambling disorder. So that was very interesting because stigma can play a huge role in somebody's recovery. Here are some resources and references. If anybody has any questions, please let me know.